As I mentioned at the top of the show, there are a lot more details this week about Apple's AR VR headset project. A lot of this is coming from the site The Information. They had a pretty detailed report this week. And in that, they say that way back in 2016, Apple's engineers and team cobbled together kind of a prototype to give a demo to Apple's board of directors. They said the system was put together with existing headsets like the HTC Vive and actually used a modified version of Windows to try and gain support for the project internally at Apple. As we know now from a lot of the rumors, the project did come to fruition, but it has been plagued by a bunch of technical delays and challenges. Battery has been a huge issue. We've talked about that a little bit for the team. There's also just the weight factor and the design and the form factor. Another apparent challenge is that the team has been working in Sunnyvale away from Apple's main campus, and apparently, while they have internal support from the board and from executives, they don't have a lot of day-to-day hands-on feedback and information, and apparently they've been having a hard time getting support from other departments within Apple. Probably things like COVID haven't helped too much, and the fact that teams are separated, but there is still a large focus on iPhone and iPad, and of course Mac was big this year, so a lot of those technologies taking time away and not making available internal services to the AR VR headset team. The piece also claims that while Tim Cook himself is very supportive of the project, he hasn't been really actively involved, not in the way, say, Steve Jobs would have been back in the day for, some of these experimental projects. They say he rarely visits the actual offices of the teams, and that has been a problem as well. There also has supposedly been some pushback from Johnny Ive, or was some pushback from Johnny Ive. He has been a blocker when the VR team's lead, Mike Rockwell, was looking for additional support from other teams within Apple. He was critical of the practical uses of the technology, and this was more when they were looking at VR versus AR, claiming it was unlikely that consumers would want to wear headsets for extended periods of time. Now, that supposedly led to the team looking more and more at AR technology and more mixed reality. But a weird part of this is they mentioned that one of the outcomes of that whole kind of conversation was that Apple may be planning to put a screen on the outside of the headset to display video images of eyes and facial expressions of the person wearing the headset so that other people in the room can see that. So feels a little bit creepy to me. I don't know. Maybe Apple can pull it off. Maybe it'll be a whole cute memoji sort of thing and it's not weird, but that sounded weird to me. Never thought about doing that in an augmented reality headset, but hey, we'll have to see if Apple does pull that off. There have been additional reports that Johnny has continued to be involved with the product's design as an external consultant even after leaving Apple. So, hey, we may still have a Johnny Ive designed product, or at least something heavily influenced by Johnny Ive. And of course, batteries have been a big challenge. They're talking about different ways of handling that. Even the fact that Apple's team considered doing removable batteries at one point, but those supposedly have been scrapped. And then after this report came out later in the week, we started to hear reports from other sources, including Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, who says that now the project is actually in an advanced stage and that a public product launch is quote-unquote imminent. Gurman said that Apple's board of directors recently saw a new demo of the AR VR headset that would be coming out soon. He says that development on the headset's operating system, nicknamed Reality OS or ROS, have been ramped up. And we recently heard that the device was being targeted for a 2023 release, but Gurman now claims that we could see it come within the next several months. The first version of the headset is expected to be pricey. We've seen predictions with pricing ranging from at least $1,000 US, but it's looking more and more likely it's going to come in at that $3,000 range. So this is going to be, at least in its first iteration, a very high-end product. That's because it's got a lot of technology built in there, if rumors are to be believed. We've been hearing two 4K micro LED displays. I think at one point there was rumors that it might be 8K displays, up to 15 different camera modules, a Apple designed processor based on M1 technology, eye tracking, hand gesture support, spatial audio, and more. All of these things are supposedly packed into this headset. So that all leading up to the price, probably a lot of the delays as well, especially with component shortages. The headset is expected to be a full standalone device. At one point, there were a lot of rumors that it might be tethered as an accessory to the iPhone, but it is going to be standalone. And oddly, according to the report, Apple is not focusing on gaming as a core application for the technology. So it's definitely going to be for other use cases. It'll be interesting to see how Apple presents that. They didn't rule out that, gaming wasn't going to be there at all, just that it wasn't a core focus of this version of the product. And long term, Apple's goal is supposedly to get away from a big, bulky, AR, VR headset, move on to something lightweight, more of an augmented reality glasses kind of product. But that is a lot further out just because of the technology. Some people do think that Apple could possibly be wanting to make an announcement of the product at Worldwide Developer Conference coming up here in June. That would be really nice, especially for developers, so they could get developing software and applications for the new product. But personally, I don't think that's very likely. It just doesn't feel like something Apple would announce at a Worldwide Developer Conference. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of AR kit kind of technologies announced with the operating system and the developer tools. There'll probably be an expansion of that technology, hinting at development for this upcoming product. That would be my prediction, but we'll have to wait and see. Worldwide Developer Conference is right around the corner, and we are expecting a lot of great things coming out from there. But overall, AR VR headset looking like it's going to become a reality sometime soon, maybe if not this year, maybe early next year. So if that's a product you're excited about, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think Apple is going to do? And what I'm really curious about is what we would like to see as applications of the technology. I know a common one people talk about is the ability to overlay information for, say, doing maps or walking directions, those sorts of things. So as you're walking around, I'm curious to know what Apple might do in the home. What are the kind of home uses? I think a common one is like repair manuals or doing repairs and having an overlay of information for products and things like that, or maybe just teaching you to use a new product that you may have purchased. So there might be some commercial applications like that. Those are things that I'm thinking of. But gaming, I think, would be a big one, so it's surprising that Apple wouldn't focus on that a little bit. But maybe that really comes down to developers at some point and what developers develop for the technology, and maybe Apple's relying on them to kind of figure out those use cases. But I'll be curious to see what Apple's kind of built-in use cases are and what they try to sell it as when it does come out. And if you have thoughts on that, shoot me an email, send me an audio comment, maccast@gmail.com.